So let's keep her rolling.
Yeah.
Fourth round was very, very fun. A bunch of the tight ends went. We're not going to spend too much time on them because I think as you get to this range of the draft, these guys are probably still dart throws. But Jatavian Sanders went to the Carolina Panthers at the top. They had the international people calling the picks, and the German dude that announced Jatavian Sanders' pick was awesome. Awesome. Keep pounding. Keep
Yeah,
pounding.
I know that was funny.
It's great. Theo Johnson, another athletic freak at pick 107, one of Dino Joe's favorites. Shout out. Eric All went to Cincinnati. They got another athletic tight end late in the draft in Tanner McLaughlin as well. AJ Barner to Seattle. Cade Stover, Jared Wiley. Will you be attacking any of these guys in 2024, Wiz? Maybe at the end of some of our best ball builds as we get into hashtag best ball season.
Yeah, I think
And then do you have a favorite long-term bet just to kind of wrap these guys all in one?
Yeah, no, I think if I'm targeting anybody in 24, Trav, it's probably Jatavian is like maybe one of those late best ball options. There really isn't much there at tight end right now. So can he come in and be that guy? Fourth round draft capital, not too bad for him. Theo, super athletic, but Daniel Bellinger is really not bad at this point. And Malik Neighbors is the guy there. I think the guy, if I'm thinking about long-term, Trav, and who may be exciting is Eric All, one of the tight ends that went to Cincinnati. I know they took Tanner as well. And it's funny, when we were prepping for the show, one of the things that I mentioned was I wouldn't be surprised if like this is like the new Musgrave Kraft kind of argument, right? Like Eric Hall is a guy that's had trouble staying healthy, but also like at flash when he has been healthy. So could he be a guy that we see he gets hot out of the gates? I know they did bring in Mike Gesicki. So there is
I
that to
love
think
him.
about. Yeah. Just a big
It's
wide receiver,
irrational.
pretty much.
Irrationally
Yeah.
love Mike Gesicki. Yeah.
Irrational. But look, I think if I'm excited about one of these guys from a dynasty perspective or taking a flyer on him, Eric Hall is probably the guy I'm doing that with. And you can do that much later on in drafts.
Yeah, he's probably almost free in those rookie
Yeah.
drafts as well. I like everything you said there. Yeah, he's attached to probably the best offense.
Yep.
It'd be interesting to see them start to utilize the tight end a little bit more. Sanders, that Carolina offense brings those questions. Theo Johnson is super athletic. Darren Waller retired, so he could get some work, but Bellinger is there. For me, like I'm with you on everything you said. The other guys down the list, Cade Stover, Jared Wiley, I would definitely throw those guys on a tight end premium taxi squad. If I
Yeah.
have a fifth round or if I'm getting some guys after the draft as kind of undrafted free agents in those dynasty leagues. Cade Stover is now attached to his college quarterback, CJ Stroud, who was super excited about the pick. And then
Yep.
Jared Wiley was drafted. He's a big athletic guy as well, drafted behind Travis Kelce. We know they might be starting a succession plan soon. So worth that taxi squad flyer. The wide receivers, though, Troy Franklin and Javon Baker, we covered them a little bit. Franklin at 102 to Denver, Baker at 110 to New England. We also had Devontae Walker, that deep threat, go at 113 to Baltimore. Jacob Cowing for the San Francisco 49ers to double up on the wide receiver
Nice.
position
Nice.
after taking Pearsall in the first. So yeah, we talked a little Franklin and Baker, so maybe we can kind of leave those guys off, I guess. What are your hopes for Tez? And then what are your hopes for Cowing?
Tez is just the guy that I'll probably be completely avoiding. If he falls to me in the fourth round somewhere, great. But I just don't see how he's gonna really earn volume. He's probably just gonna be a cardio machine out there running those deep routes. I really want no part of a deep threat in Baltimore there. And then as far as Jacob Cowing goes, look, maybe he becomes interesting if we see kind of like what we talked about with Pearsall earlier. If we see one of the top guys exit, then he becomes interesting. He is a player that, I probably liked a little bit more of some of the other guys that have gone in this draft. He's a fun player, but it's hard to see his dynasty outlook. It's probably a bit murky. He's probably a nice just wait and see guy.
Yeah. No, I feel you on that. Like Tez, like it's kind of intriguing to think about a productive deep threat in the Baltimore offense, but I think what we want from Zay Flowers is a little bit more downfield work out of the slot, and we don't necessarily want some guy taking that whole pie so Flowers can't get it, right? And so, yeah, I just think we haven't wanted the second wide receiver for Baltimore for years, and nothing last season told me that we do now. And I'm not even sure Tez comes in to become the second one because we still have the candle burning for Rashad Bateman. So, yeah. And then Cowing again, a guy we like. He is very buried, but he's buried on a great offense. So I wouldn't necessarily be taking him, in I don't know, like late fourth, early fifth if I have a fifth round. But I would be trying to probably go elsewhere, looking for guys who have more immediate paths to production. But love the player, love the player.
I've seen him go undrafted in a couple drafts, and that's a guy that if he hit, if you've got the 412, I would there's certainly worse things that you could do than take Jacob Cowing. And if he did make it to waivers, then he'd be a guy I'd absolutely be throwing a claim in on.
And I might even say the same for Tez, just because, he does have a skill that if given targets can produce easy, if that makes sense. Like he doesn't have to be a route technician necessarily to produce the way he produces, but
Yeah,
again, like more of just an add to the bench, because we did hear that Todd Monken last season was kind of going to open up the Lamar Jackson offense. We saw that to an extent, but to me, that would mean more wide receivers producing, and we didn't see that. So,
yeah.
dart throws at best. Running backs in the fourth round were extra fun, Wiz. We had Jaylen Wright. The Miami Dolphins traded up to draft Jaylen Wright, sorry. I think they traded a third round pick next year to take him with the fourth round pick this year, which tells me something. Bucky Irving went in the fourth round. I was stoked, man. Stoked.
I
Didn't love the
know.
landing spot to Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
But I was stoked that he got that kind of draft capital, because I was pissed that he wasn't running a second 40. I thought he was going to be gone in like the sixth round, which is
that's what I was
basically
thinking
just like
too.
put
Yeah.
him in the dirt. But then the Bucks came and just turned everything around in the fourth round. Will Shipley to my Birds. Ray Davis went to Buffalo. Isaac Guerrero went to San Francisco. Braelon Allen, who we hate, went to the New York Jets. Um, who are you looking at here, Wiz? Who stands out to you as somebody you're going to be attacking in drafts, whether
Well, it's really
dynasty or 2024?
Yeah, I mean, look, 2024, I think really one of the only guys that's I think is probably going to make anything of an impact or more of an impact than others is Ray Davis. I do see Ray Davis having a role in 24. And look, if something ever happened to James Cook, now he's like the RB1 in a Josh Allen offense, right? Whereas you look at somebody like Jaylen Wright, say Mostert goes down, like he's still got to deal with A chain there, right? Or if one of those two, like he's still RB3 there. Bucky Irving's another interesting one. I do see the only problem there is like one of Bucky's calling cards is receiving, and Rashad White is like a good receiving back. So I wonder if they maybe pivot some of the early down work off of Rashad and just try and take a little bit of a load off of him, because they gave him quite a big load last year. And he's really not the most efficient runner there. So I wonder if it's a very small amount of work that he steals, but maybe if Bucky does can be more efficient throughout the year, that's something there. Garendo, really just like a stash guy, obviously, right? Like he's a guy that, as you get into the fourth round of dynasty drafts, like I've taken him at the 409 a couple times. I actually, traded up or traded back into the fourth the other day, at the 411, just so he wouldn't hit waivers and I could get a chance to throw him on a taxi. And then Braelon Allen, what the Jets did by doubling up at running back here. I know we'll get to the other one in a little bit, but to take Braelon Allen to go behind Brees Hall as the RB11, by the way, which is where I had him. So for all those people telling me I was crazy about Braelon Allen RB11, yeah, I'm not. But to land behind Brees Hall and then for them to go ahead and then take Isaiah Davis, who, God damn it, New York Jets, like Isaiah Davis was one of my fun flyers later on, and they went ahead and took both of them. I just
Womp
look,
womp.
yeah, seriously. And there goes any Izzy hope that was had out there too. So look, obviously if Brees goes down, I don't even know if there's a clear guy that like you could rely on. So like taxi guys at best, and I just don't even know what you can expect out of him. Will Shipley, look, fun player, but like Jalen Hurts doesn't throw the ball to running backs that much, and Saquon can catch the ball. So like some of these guys, while they may have got decent impacts, it's really hard to see most of them making an impact in 24.
Yeah, I feel you. I think Jaylen Wright could make some decent impact because Raheem Mostert will go down, and I think we saw that Devin Achane could produce off of less volume. I don't see them making him a 20 carry back if Mostert goes down. Like I think Jaylen Wright does get some serious run. Old Jeffy Wilson's still there, I believe, too, if he's not a free agent. But I think if
No,
he is,
I
he
read
probably
today though. I read today he was like a potential cut candidate at this point with Jalen Wright. So
fair enough too, right? Fair enough. But he's probably one of those guys where somebody gets hurt and they bring him back and then they
yeah,
release him, bring him back
exactly.
because McDaniels loves him. But I love Jalen Wright in that landing spot. And for the long term, he's easily my top running back out of this fourth round group.
Yep.
Bucky to me is a pure handcuff. Will Shipley, everything you said. Yeah, sure, great, good offense, but if he's not getting carries, he's also not gonna be getting targets. Ray
Yeah.
Davis is such a bowling ball, man. I see him, like, not necessarily the same player, but I could see him filling a similar role to what we saw from Devin Singletary as another
Mm.
kinda short, compact guy who can take some carries. Garendo, another stash, similar to how we've been stashing Jordan Mason, Tyrion Davis Price, previously guys like Matt Breida, right? Another San Francisco running back that we just want to add to the bottom of our roster.
And it's just
Braelon Allen,
crazy
man.
that, like, look, like, the 2, like, freakiest guys from a running back perspective, dude, they went to Miami and fucking San Francisco.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
it
insane.
really I wonder if, like, Kyle Shanahan saw Jaylen Wright go to Miami and he was like, "Fuck it, we're going to get our guy in Garendo." But
Yeah,
yeah, like, obviously Christian's there, but Elijah Mitchell is a undrafted free agent at the end of the year. So he's a guy that, look, if he ever got a chance down the line, we're not saying this year, but down the line with the size speed freak that he is in a Kyle Shanahan offense, just could be really fun.
yeah, exactly. And fantasy football is meant to be fun. Braelon Allen, yeah, still kind of hate him, but like if Brees Hall goes down, there's a fucking path, man. And like I don't know. Depending on where he goes in drafts, I think he's probably going to be people are still going to like him. Like Biggs had him as his
Mm.
running back one going into the draft.
Ooh,
A lot of people were super high on him, like just from that kind of outlier perspective. But to me, he was never Derrick Henry, so I never wanted him. You know what I mean?
yeah.
If you're that big, you need to be Derrick Henry for me.